Decepticons, attack!
Hey everyone, Soundwave here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the LEGO Star Wars set 75060 UCS Boba Fett's Slave 1. Now usually I would take a quick look at the packaging, but I bought this used, so I did not get the original packaging, but I do have the original manual that shows what the original packaging would have looked like, which looks pretty spectacular, and I wish LEGO would keep doing manuals like this. It just looks so nice. And inside, and your book, UCS, I'm trying to lose my train of thought here. The UCS Boba Fett Slave 1 does come with 13 numbered bags, 1,996 pieces. So let's take a closer look at the minifigures. First minifigure we get is the pilot of the Slave 1 himself, Boba Fett. And you guys might be a little disappointed, but this is not the Boba Fett that comes with the original UCS Slave 1, and I'm going to tell you the backstory on this. When I was buying the UCS Boba Fett Slave 1, I told the guy I was buying it from, I didn't really want the Boba Fett that came with the set, because, I had one that is, that I believe, in my opinion, is way better than that one. I'll put up, yes, so what I did was I took the Boba Fett from the Desert Skiff and Sarlacc Pit set from the 25th anniversary line, gave him the new rangefinder from the Jango Fett Slave 1, as well as the cape from the Carbon Freezing Chamber set. Yeah, and just to compare, I'm going to put a picture of the Boba Fett that comes in the UCS Slave 1, right here off to the side. So, but all in all, this is a really nice Boba Fett minifigure. Underneath, he's got the Tamora Morrison face print, and yeah, he just looks pretty good. It's not the figure that came with it, but I don't really care. He just looks awesome. Next up, we get the Bespin Guard, which, to my knowledge, is exclusive to the set here, and he looks pretty nice. He's got the nice blue officer uniform with the hat and the pistol. He just looks really nice, and it's cool to finally have a Bespin Guard here in the collection. You do get one Imperial Stormtrooper, and he is a standard Imperial Stormtrooper, nothing too special to say about him, and he does have the angry clone head. Yeah, so not really too much to say about the Stormtrooper, aside from the fact that the printing does look really nice on him. Here we have the scoundrel himself, Han Solo, and this was before they started using the newer Han Solo hairpiece, so he has the old Han Solo hairpiece. I might swap it out, who knows. But yeah, he looks nice with the wrinkled shirt there and the reddish brown pants. I'm not sure if those are brittle. And he does have an alternate face, which is when he is, frozen. Yeah, but a very nice inclusion going handheld for this last minifigure. I guess you could count it as a piece, but, it on the box, on the original packaging, it was, labeled as a minifigure, and that is Han Solo in carbonite, and he looks wicked. Just love all this nice molded detailing and all the nice printed on the panels. The classic Han Solo in carbonite freeze pose, and ever since they switched to the new hairpiece, they still haven't updated this mold to have the new hair, which I kind of wish LEGO had done. But yeah, he looks really nice, and you can take your Han Solo and just clip him on it to the back. He does clip in, his hands clip into the ports there, and there you go, there's Han Solo in carbonite. Now let's get down to the main event. But before we do that, let's take a look at the included display base. And it's an okay build. I'll get into the gripes with it. I have the same gripes with this as I do with the Jango Fett stand over there. But let's just get into it. It's just a nice standard UCS, black UCS display stand. You got the plaque there, which at the time was stickered. This was before they had switched to the printed plaques. And it's as follows. Star Wars, Slave 1, manufacturer, Kuwait Systems Engineering. Length, 21.5 meters. Engines, F-31 drive engines. Hyperdrive system, modified class 1.0. Maximum speed, 1,000 kilometers per hour in atmosphere. Weapons, Borstel GN40 twin blaster cannons. Dimec HM8 concussion missile launchers. Brugis C/IN ion cannons. Arakid AASL proton torpedo launchers. Phylon F1 tractor beam projector, and Void 7 seismic charges. And I'll talk more about the seismic charges when we get down to the actual ship. And capacity, 1 pilot, 1 co-pilot, 6 prisoners, 2 passengers, and 40 metric tons of cargo. And that's basically it for the display stand. And here we have Boba Fett's modified fire spray class starship, aka Slave 1, in all of its glory. And this thing is just wickedly detailed. It just has so many nice details all over. Got some nice greebling there. On the tail there, we got the two blaster cannons. Got these 2 panels, one on each side, and I'll show you what those are for later on. Got the nice wings, which are beautifully greebled. Got the cockpit windscreen with the stickers. I will get more into. I bought this used, so these were pre-applied, but I will get into more on this topic when I take a look at Jango Fett's Slave 1. Yeah, got some nice sticker detailing on the bottom there. There's the other wing. Got the boarding ramp on the back, and we'll show that off a little later. And fair warning, when you buy this, like if you end up buying this sealed, be extremely careful while building it. If you do plan on building it, be extremely careful while building it, because these may be brittle. The build process for this was extremely terrifying for me because of all the dark red. So yeah, just use caution with those. Moving on to the boarding ramp, there is a few things you can do with that. You can have your figures posed on there as like just to create like some scenes there. You can have Boba Fett posed on there. But what you can also do is you can take this section right here, lift it up, and there's no real interior there, but it exposes this clip. And what you do with this is you take your Han Solo in carbonite, you clip him on to, you just attach him to the clip and fold that in, and there we go. There is Captain Solo in the cargo hold. And let's say, for example, you end up getting Captain Solo lodged into the Slave 1, and you can't really get him out. But the designer actually thought of that scenario, and you can see. Here's the underside, by the way. I'll talk more about the underside in the Jango Fett review. But you flip this panel up, you give the model a good shake, and he will just fall. You just give the model a good shake, and he will fall right out of that hatch there, so you can retrieve him if you manage to lose him inside the cargo hold. Now let's talk about how to mount your Slave 1 to the display stand. So we'll just bring in the stand here, and you will see it has these 2 prongs at the very top. And if we flip over to the underside of the Slave 1, you will see 2 slots right here and there that these prongs will fit into, just like that. And there we go. There's your Slave 1 attached to the stand. Now I'm going to put this back on the table because this thing is actually kind of heavy. And here is the Slave 1 mounted to the stand, and it looks absolutely majestic on the stand there in flight mode. Oh, and I forgot to mention, the wings do rotate with gravity. They rotate in unison, and they just rotate with gravity, so you don't have to worry about those like being stuck in any one position. But yeah, it just looks super majestic. mounted onto the stand. And yeah, there's the underside there, but I'll talk more about that on the Jango Fett's Slave 1 review. But now let's turn our attention to the cockpit. Moving on to the cockpit. So the way it's just held in there by a couple of Technic pins, and you just pull it off really easily. You set that off to the side, and this is where we can place our minifigure. We can place our Boba Fett minifigure in here, and the seat also rotates, but it doesn't really rotate with gravity, which is kind of disappointing when all the other when all the Playscale Slave ones had like seats that would rotate with gravity. So you can take your Boba Fett minifigure, you can just place him inside like that. Then you can fold up the seat, and then you can take his blaster and just clip it onto the side right there. And then you can just plug it on, and then you can just plug the windscreen back on, and there's Boba Fett all seated inside the cockpit. And the cockpit only seats one minifigure, which is one area that the Jango Fett Slave 1 is better at. It has a more accurate cockpit with more accurate capacity. Now moving on to the side panels here, these do have some functionality, and what you can do here is you can just take this panel right here and just carefully pry it up and out to reveal some hidden missile compartments, and that's pretty cool that it can do that. And it does the same on the other side as well, which does have a slightly different build, but it's still really cool that you can do that with the Slave 1 there. For size comparisons, here it is with the Combiner Wars Devastator, and these two are roughly the same size, I would say. Like, yeah, they're about as tall as each other, like with the Slave 1 mounted onto the stand and such. Here it is with Siege Jetfire, just because. I do not have my Hasbro Slave 1 anymore, I got rid of it, but here is compared next to the UCS Falcon. So that is my review of the UCS Boba Fett Slave 1, and all in all, it's not a bad model. It definitely holds up well, but compared to the Jango Fett's Slave 1, it does some things like better. Jango Fett's Slave 1 does do some things better than this version, I will say that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So don't forget to check out my other reviews, and I will see you when I review Jango Fett's Slave 1.